Please don't take offense to this. I do a lot of podcasts. Like, I've published over 220 episodes over the last 3 years, and I've actually doubled down on the podcast because we're growing and it's generated a lot of leads. And so I like having doctors, I like having authors, I like having people in the personal growth, self-development, health and wellness space, whatever, so on and so forth. And sometimes I'm interviewing someone and I don't even know how we ended up getting on the podcast, but I think I DM'd you on Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so too.
I want to make sure. Okay. Cause I work with a lot of PR companies too, that just like send me guests and, but I find people on Instagram through other people I assume that we both follow or we both are followed by or something, but I'm glad to have you on the podcast because, even though I haven't read your book yet, you deserve this shit. Get unstuck, find your path, and become the best version of yourself. I did watch a ton of YouTube videos, on the podcast you were on, this year. And I just watched one, the Authentic Conviction podcast. Shout out to the Authentic Conviction podcast. I just watched your episode with him. And that looks really interesting because as someone who's super passionate about personal growth and self-development, you are exactly the type of person I want to surround myself with and exactly the type of person I want on the podcast. How you doing today, Jordan?
Dude, I'm fired up now.
Let's go. Fired up. Awesome. So your book, You Deserve This Shit, is on Amazon. It's all about getting unstuck, finding your path, and becoming the best version of yourself. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is becoming the best version of yourself. Because, when I hear this phrase, I'm like, oh my God, I want to be the best version of myself. And when I think about it, I'm like, oh, there's a best version of myself where like, this is the best version. It's the best version. But the best version, because best is like current tense or present tense, but also like future tense. We're like, we can always be the best version of ourselves, right? We can be the best version we are right here, right now, but also like there's never like that best version of yourself. And I know I'm talking a lot and I promise I'm going to let you answer a question. I promise I'm going to talk, but you have a very interesting story, a near-death experience at the age of 19. You were in a car that someone else was driving and had a very gnarly car crash. And then at the age of 21, decided to go backpacking by yourself, which takes a lot of courage. For sure. So if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, tell us how those two experiences influenced who you are today, and we can take the conversation naturally from there.
Yeah, for sure, man. So I got in a car accident while must have been my first year of college. And at the time, like, it didn't really mean much to me. It was just like kind of crazy in the moment, but I wasn't mature enough to really dissect and reflect on what that really meant for me or what was the underlying lesson. It wasn't until like years after when I started to mature, get out of the college bubble, that I started to like take a pause and think about like, well, what was that? And why did it happen? That I really started to understand like some more powerful lessons for it. And then after college, I just always had been a super self-conscious, insecure, not very confident kid like my entire life. And I just knew that there was so much potential inside of me. I just needed to like reveal it to the world somehow. And to me, the answer was getting outside my comfort zone. And so that's why I packed my bags 2 weeks after graduation, quit my serving job in Newport Beach, moved out of my house in Newport Beach, and just left for 3 months. And without like, I had a plan, but I didn't have a plan. I was very free flow. That's why I went by myself. Tried to make like just a deep intention behind the trip was just like to learn about myself and not necessarily needing to go to all the tourist attractions, all the pubs, just like being so open and curious to whatever was going to come my way during that journey and path, and just accepting that as like the journey that I was supposed to go on. And that just really unraveled that whole experience for me.
Where did you go?
I went to Europe for 3 months. I did 11 or 12 countries, traveled by train. And I ended up so the trip was meant to be 5 weeks. And I was at the time, my sister lived in Paris, and I was traveling to Portugal. We were going to meet up and go to Sagres, which is the southernmost tip of Portugal. If you look at a map and you look at the southernmost tip, that's Sagres. It's like super remote. It's a surf city. We hitchhiked while we were there. It's very, very remote. And my flight home was the next day. It was the second to last day we were there. My sister was going back to Paris. And I was like, just had fallen in love with Barcelona when I was there. Met some really, I had that same reaction, man. Same reaction. And just met some really incredible people, found a really cool community there. And I just felt this calling to go back and not go home.
Yeah.
And so I talked to my sister and I was telling her kind of like the circumstances, the situation, the things I was, feeling passionate about. At the time I was single, I had no job. So there's nothing back home that I really needed to go to.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, dude, you should just go. You should go for it. And so I DM'd the person working at the hostel, the manager of the hostel. I was like, hey, do you guys have any like room for volunteers? They're like, yeah, can you be here tomorrow? And I was like, sure, down. So I skipped my flight home and then flew back to Barcelona and started working at a hostel there for a month and a half, which is what extended it to 3 months.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, all of this is going to get us to the conversation of personal growth, becoming the best version of ourselves.
Yeah.
And traveling is an integral part of personal growth for a lot of reasons. And, as someone who didn't really travel growing up, I was never someone who traveled. But then once COVID hit, I hit like 15 countries. It was like Dubai, Bali, Colombia, Costa Rica, obviously Mexico, Nicaragua, Europe, Spain, Switzerland, Barcelona, Paris, England, all those places, right? Like traveling opens your eyes to things that you only see like on TV and books. You're like, wow, people live like that. Like I was in Bali, I was like, wait, these people like all have a smile on their face. They're all super nice. I feel like I would assume they have a really good connection and relationship with nature and God and like a higher source, whatever that meant to them. And like, I'm like, okay, like I got a pretty good back in, I live in Jupiter, Florida, dude. I'm like a 5-minute drive to the beach. I got 4 grocery stores and Starbucks within a walk. Like I'm the luckiest kid on earth type of thing. So that was really good for my like gratitude journey. Right.
Yeah.
And gratitude is like really important along this personal growth journey.
Yeah, for sure. I think I had a similar experience. I feel like with travel, it's displacement from like anything familiar. You're totally outside your comfort zone. And I think that's definitely a cliche, but it's so true. Like there is no growth where you're comfortable. And that's like what I felt at home. It's like I was going to stay in the same pattern of who I was and who I didn't want to be until I broke that pattern myself. And that's kind of what traveling gave me. It was the excuse like, oh, this is cool. This is going to be fun. But at the same time, like you're doing a lot of deep inner work and maybe it's on a subconscious level too, having those realizations of where you're going or the cultures you're kind of surrounding yourself with is a shock to your system that is going to wake you up to what is beyond your bubble at home. And I think the reason why this is a talk about personal growth is like, for me, that's where my personal growth journey really started. It was being forced out of my comfort zone. So I had to do the work to become who I wanted to become.
Yeah. Getting out of your comfort zone. Huge piece to personal growth. So you were, from what I saw on the website, you were a freshman or sophomore in college in 2013. So if I had to guess your age, you're 28, 29, 30?
Right now? 28.
Yeah. 28.
Yeah.
Okay. So 28, still a young bull. I'm 32, still a young bull, right?
Yeah, we still got it, dude. We still got it.
Dude, our personal growth journey is going to be for at least another 70 years, right? So, we're constantly learning because if you're not growing, if you're not learning, you're dying. There's no in between. Staying stagnant is not stagnant. You're dying if you're not making progress.
Right.
What are some of the things, and we'll get to the book because I know there's a lot of good nuggets in the book that you want to talk about, but without revealing too much about the book, what are some of the personal growth, I guess, foundations that you still incorporate, right?
Yeah.
Even though you've published 2 great books, right? You're on your own journey. What are you still doing to get outside your comfort zone? What are you still doing to be a better person? What are you still doing to sharpen skills and grow, learn more, and operate from that beginner's mindset?
The number one thing I still do to this day is just remaining curious. And I think that's been the center of my growth as a person in general, is just always looking for more, always wanting to learn, always wanting to find another thing that would challenge me and never getting complacent. I think that the moment we get complacent, kind of like what you're saying with being stagnant, is the moment you kind of lose. You're just going to remain the same. And that's a quick path to regretting a life that, you don't want to live. So for me, it's curiosity is really at the center of my entire journey, still to this day.
So what are you currently intentionally trying to learn more about?
Right now, it's public speaking is like my business journey for sure. That's like, I've put basically all my eggs in the basket over the last year and just really dove into the craft and devoting myself to how I can create more impact through that medium.
Amazing. That's great, dude. So let's get to the book, man. So it's all about getting unstuck, finding your path, becoming the best version of yourself. How, and it's actually pretty ironic. I actually recorded a solo podcast about if you're feeling stuck, what to do, probably about 2 weeks ago. And I got a lot of great feedback on that. So I think this is a great, piggyback off of that to hear someone else's opinion, someone else's perspective, someone who specializes as an expert in being unstuck. And tell us a little bit more about like what you've learned when it comes to getting unstuck and how the average Joe can get unstuck.
Yeah, I mean, I think curiosity is going to come probably through this conversation in many different ways. But for me on my journey, getting unstuck was trying new things. Like if you're stuck, you can't just continue to do the same thing because you never will get around it. Like there is a sense like, yes, sometimes you have to go through the pain and the discomfort and all that kind of stuff. But really, if something isn't working for you, there could be a whole other reality just like 2 steps to the right that you can access just by trying something completely different. And I think a lot of times we get hung up on like, well, like almost pre-qualifying what you're going to do and like, oh, well, am I going to like it? It's going to be worth my time. It's like, dude, fuck that. Like just go try the thing and do it. And then decide, because I think clarity really comes through trying something. It's really hard to have clarity until you understand if it truly resonates, because there's so many things in my path that I've found that I love that if I pre-qualified it, I would have told myself I would have hated it. It's like, you never truly know until you try. And so I think that the key to getting unstuck is continually to expanding like the things that you're trying and that curiosity. So you almost have like this toolbox of like things that you love and things that you hate. And then you can just focus on the things you love.
Dude, I love that answer. The 2 things to get unstuck is remaining curious, doing things differently. And we don't know what we like unless we do things we don't like. It's trial and error. For example, I've done a lot of different jobs. I've worked at a golf course. I've obviously worked in the service industry. I was a server. I was a cook. I sold insurance. I sold real estate. Still do sell real estate. Anyone out there in South Florida area looking to buy, sell, or rent, please hit me up. But it took a lot of failures, obviously, to realize that, hey, I'm good at hyping people up. I'm a good listener. I'm good at understanding and empathizing with what other people are going through, but I'm also a really good motivator. Like all my clients right now, and I don't know if you know much about me, I'm a life coach. I work one-on-one with people around 10 to 12 clients at a time. I'm a 3-time Ironman, and I like triathlons and things like that. But, a lot of my clients, they're making a ton of progress. And it's because I do have this natural skill of just like motivating people to get it fucking done. I'm up at 4:55 every day. I meditate 20 minutes. I read 10 pages. Then I'm at the gym. I immediately go in the cold plunge. I do 100 push-ups in the sauna. Like I'm home at 8 a.m. at my desk, like getting work done, banging the phones, like coaching my 3 clients a day, things like that. So I love it. Getting outside your comfort zone, trying things you haven't tried. So can you give us an example? What's something different someone can try without having a lot of context on their life?
That's a good question. I mean, I will always even just refer to journaling. I know it's a very simple thing you could do right at the comfort of your home on your couch. That's the one thing that really helped me beyond traveling, but it was one integral part of traveling that helped me kind of dig into the things that I liked and also process like what I was feeling and understand like when I was trying something or when I met someone or when I went through a difficult situation. Like that was my way to kind of unpack like what it really meant to me. And so I always recommend to everyone, if you're not journaling, start journaling. It doesn't need to be hard, but I think it can reveal like a lot about your life that you just haven't revealed yet because you haven't looked inward.
Why do you think journaling is so powerful?
Because it's like, for me, it's a way I can give like my soul a voice and like look inward and just really unpack my truth, because we don't really spend that much time in like on ourselves alone in that space where there's no distractions and nothing. Like it's just you and the piece of paper, and the things you're writing are definitely coming from, in my perspective, a different dimension. You're channeling things in that you might have never thought of or crossed paths with until you set this time aside to like really think about your life in that way.
Yeah. I love that you said journaling. I think that's a great example, and that's a great place to start for anybody, whether you're a beginner in personal growth, whether you're stuck or unstuck, regardless of any of the context, detail behind your lifestyle and your life situation, I think I know journaling is a great place to start. And I think there's like an added dynamic to journaling, and there's so many different ways to get value from journaling. For example, I like to journal because I believe you can't move forward in life if you have nothing to look back on. And I keep all my journals. I have journals from 2017. I used to journal back in college, but I would just throw them away type of thing. Then in like 2017, I was like 26 at the time. I started like keeping them. And like, I look back at my journals from 2019, like year before COVID, and I'm like, oh my God, I have made so much fucking progress. It is crazy. My net worth has 10x. My business is amazing. I'm in the best shape of my life. I've visited an extra 10 countries. My relationships are amazing. So it's just like looking back on where you were at that time, like makes me feel good that, yo, Zach, you're moving in the right direction. Just keep on fucking going.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like actually I was just talking about this with my fiance the other day. I'm like someone who just like, I love to document life on all forms. Like my creative career started as a travel photographer. So I have fucking cameras all over my desk right now. Like it's not a joke. Like, you know, I'm just like, I have 3 cameras on I just love documenting shit. And I think journaling is the same thing. It's a documentation of your inner world and your growth. And I think if you don't document, like you're saying, then you never have a database. Like think of my journal right here. It's a database of everything that's happened to me this year, all the good, the bad, the ugly. And it's a database of my own life and my own journey that I can look back on and really learn from. And there's a lot of lessons that you may not be aware of until 4 months later when you come back and you read it and be like, oh shit, that's what was happening. That's what was really happening. And so I feel like it's just it's literally a never ending lesson of your own life.
Right. You know, we're so lucky, man. Like I feel so much gratitude in this very moment that like, we're going to be not like from my mouth to God's ears, like 90, 100 years old, sitting with the person we love, looking at videos. You know, I live with my girlfriend. I lived with my girlfriend now for almost a year. We bought a house together. Thank you. We're thriving right now. And we take a ton of videos, like vlogs, and like we don't post them, but we upload it to our shared Google Drive. And like we also do like a 1-second picture every single day. Like usually when we eat dinner, take a cute little photo. And like, you know, looking back on it a year later is great. 2 years later, awesome. 5, 10, 20. Like, could you imagine the feeling? Like I'm getting chills thinking about it, being like 100 years old and like looking at these videos. Like that is something that is priceless.
Yes.
Worth more than a Bugatti, worth more than a $20 million house. Like, you know, a Warren Buffett worth $180 billion. He wishes he had, you know, documentation like you and I do. But back to you deserve this shit. Get unstuck, find your path, and become the best version of yourself. The second topic, the second pillar, I'm going to call it, is finding your path. And very vague, right? But I know you go into a ton of detail on this. So can you give us more context on what you mean by finding your path and how the listeners can audit their life and potentially find their own path?
Yeah, for me, finding your path is aligning yourself with the things that light you up. So I made a commitment, basically. I came back from my trip from Europe, obviously broke as could be, had credit card debt up the yin yang. And I was like, yo, I need some money right now. So I had a finance degree. So I jumped into the finance world, was in the mortgage industry, and absolutely hated it. I just hated it. And in that time, like at that time, I realized, well, if I'm going to work for the rest of my life, I need to find something that I love. And so I made a commitment it was about 2018 that I would only follow things that light me up. And that in and of itself is a thing that unlocked my own path, because your path is the things that light you up and make you happy. It's not necessarily in the beginning. It's like, I want to think about, how do I want to make money? Think about, how am I going to make myself happy, and what is going to like make my heart feel full? And that's like how I found my path, was just following what makes me excited. And I like hold that to my heart to this day. It's like, I live by that in everything I do, because that is really the way that you become the creator of the reality like you want to exist in.
Right. I like that a lot. I think that was very well said. You know, just whatever lights you up, like you made that commitment, you stayed with commitment.
And I think that like, that leaves so much openness for your path to be whatever you want it to be. I feel like there is no path that you should, there's nothing, fuck the word should, man. Like do whatever you like feel called to do. And
Right.
that is your life. Like you have the power to live the life that you want to live and design the life that you want to live. And the next person can live a life that is on the whole other spectrum, and they can still be, you know, fulfilled, happy, and just living their dream life. So I think it comes back to your path is like what truly lights you up.
Yeah. And you know, I don't feel like, and I didn't write the book, You Deserve This Shit. I'm gonna be a fan. I'm gonna be a reader for sure. But you know, I feel like the path has a lot of turns, and it has a couple shoulders, and it's got curves, and you got to decide which way to go. Like, as long as you're on the path and you're moving in the right direction, like you'll kind of figure it out. But there are options within that path. I guess I'll take a huge step back here. I don't think it's just a one-way street that, hey, this is my path.
No.
There's a curb on both sides. It's a one-lane road, and this is the path I'm going. No. You're going to follow that path. But in about 500 feet, there's going to be a little curve. You want to go down the curve, for example, for you, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, it started out with photography, and then you were writing books, and now you're on this like massive path toward being one of the most renowned public speakers in the world. You know, so it's just like, you know what I mean? Like that's like the path. Yes, the path, but there are multiple paths within the path. What's your feedback on that?
I couldn't say any better than that, because I mean, you explained exactly what I was going to explain. Like my journey started as a photographer, and it's the amount of like turns and twists and like spirals I've taken. But dude, that's part of the fun. Like that's what makes it exciting. Like that's like I find so much opportunity in uncertainty. Like I see uncertainty as expansiveness. It means that nothing is predetermined for me. And so that gives me this entire world to look out to and be like, holy shit, I can do whatever I want to do because my life isn't determined at all. And so just by following what I love, and because my love for things continues to develop as I grow as a human, I always get more and more like of a life that I truly love the whole time. And so no matter if the path is going left, right, up, down, I'm still going after the things I love. And that's like what it all comes back to.
Right. You know, it makes me thinking, you know, usually on these podcasts, dude, I like to have the person that I'm interviewing talk 90% of the time because you're the expert here. But you and I we have so much in common. We really do. Like we would be boys.
Yeah, I can tell.
If we lived in the same area, we would totally be boys. We'd totally be hanging out and having deep conversations like on the reg. But as far as the path goes, you know, me as a life coach, I've been a life coach now since for 3 years. I started mid-COVID. Like it was like, I want to be a coach. I want an online business. This is what I'm going to do. But back in like 2016, 2017, I was like posting all these motivational type videos on Instagram, and, you know, no one really took me seriously, but like I was on this path of deep inner work. Like I was reading 50 pages a day, and I was meditating for 30 minutes a day, and I was up at 4 a.m. and I was like working out hard, and I was sharpening my skills when it came to sales and when it came to marketing and networking and all these things to like get rich. Like, how am I going to be a millionaire? Watching Gary Vee videos, Jim Rohn, Brian Tracy, you know, all the Tony Robbins, all the personal growth goats, right? And you know, now it's funny that like I shelved that. I called it Inspired by Zach, and my podcast editor that's going to watch this after this is going to laugh because we called it IBZ, and it was called Inspired by Zach, and I'm going to post a motivational video every day. Super cliche, right? I shelved that, and now look at it, right? 220 episodes later, first book dropped, second book is on the way, pretty much already done. By the way, all those people out there, I don't even know if I've mentioned it yet. It's called Think Like a Dog. It's a mental health mindset book on how to just like live more mindfully. The book's already done. It's in the editor's hands right now. Hopefully we're going to drop in the next like 90 days or so. But so it's just funny the way things happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's the beauty of life. You just never, like you couldn't have said this was at the beginning of COVID when you started to think about your business. This is probably not the business you were thinking of to a T. Like it probably became so much more because you allowed it to. You gave it the space to become what it needs to become. I think when we become so controlling of our path in our life to where we put on the blinders, we don't see the other opportunities that the universe has in store and planned for us. And so if we basically had awareness that is too narrow and not wide enough, we miss out on a lot of other ways that we can expand our business, our life, our journey, our relationships, because we're so focused on the one thing. But if you kind of just like release the blinders a little bit, like there's so much out there for you to achieve and bring into your own world. And I think that's kind of what happened. What sounds like what happened with you is like, you kind of had this small idea at the beginning, and now it's blown up into this entire ecosystem for you.
Absolutely. And super grateful for all that. I really am. It's great making an impact on people's lives, but I really understood the impact that I was going to make on the world when I was like, wait a second, my first client paid me $1,500 for 12 one-hour sessions. And I was like, wait a second, I'm telling him to wake up at 4:30 in the morning. I'm telling him to read 10 pages a day of Atomic Habits or The Compound Effect or, some Jim Rohn book. Like, I'm telling him to eat healthy and exercise. I have no choice. I have this obligation, this accountability that like, I have to be the best version of myself. And that is a great segue into the last topic we're going to discuss. And then at the end, we're going to play a little game. It's a 5-minute game that I think you're going to enjoy. Becoming the best version of ourselves. The word best. Number one, the champion, better than everybody else. So when we talk about becoming the best version of ourselves, do you believe that there is like this, I don't even know how to say it, like this best version of ourselves that like you can't be better than? Or is best version of yourself just constantly like a thing? I don't know. I don't know how to articulate.
I know. I get what you're saying. It's the process of continuous improvement. Truly. I think if you're on a path of always looking for more, always looking to become better, and also like the best version of yourself isn't just for yourself, it's also to be better for the people around you, like your clients. And so I really think the best version of yourself is the intention to always look to become a better person over time. It's not a destination. You're never, I'm never going to arrive, because we are humans. We're constantly expanding and growing, and to think that there's an angle or a cap on what we can learn about ourselves in life, that's a disservice to your own growth. And so for me, it's like, I know I'm always going to have a chance to learn more, which like that makes me want to go more. Like that's the motivation, is that I don't know everything. It's not, I don't know everything isn't a bad thing. It's a good thing, because there's more out there for me to make my life more full.
All right. So let me ask you a question. This can be a tough question. Okay. And I want you to be very transparent and honest here. You seem like a man of integrity, and I definitely see that in you. Are you the best version of yourself right now in this moment?
No.
Okay. Why is that?
I feel like right now I'm recognizing that life has seasons and our journeys have cycles. And I feel like right now I kind of just like, I came off the back end of 2022 into 2023, like just firing. I had a great first end of the year, start to the year. I felt really good. I felt confident. I felt worthy. I felt deserving of all the things I was doing. I felt abundant. My frequency was a good spot. And then I like hit like end of April, beginning of May, kind of right now. And I've kind of just like, I don't want to say I'm taking steps backwards, but it feels like my like vibration and frequency has slowed down a bit. And so I'm kind of going through this journey right now of like self-worth again, and understanding where I can draw my self-worth from, and trying to like recalibrate those things that I felt so good on at the start of the year. And so but at the same time, it's giving myself permission to go through that journey when I need to go through it again. There's more lessons for me to learn. And it's not, and my fiance gave me this analogy last night. When you shoot a bow and arrow, you have to pull it back for it to launch forward. And so that has been a big lesson for me. It's like, I'm not taking steps back because I'm going backwards. I'm slowing down so I can go forward. That's where I'm at.
It's a great analogy. Why do you think your frequency and vibration is lower, or has been lower in the last couple of weeks?
I'm placing my self-worth on the wrong things. I'm placing my self-worth on external things like money, engagement, sales, that kind of all the stuff that really doesn't matter, but it does create like some internal motivation when those things are. You're a business owner, it's like it's inevitable. That stuff makes you excited. And so if I'm in seasons where it's not maybe matching what it was the prior month or what I expected, that's usually when I kind of get all wonky. And that's when it's like, I'm getting these triggers, but like I'm realizing triggers are really just the universe showing you what to focus on, or bringing something to your awareness, because there's so more healing to do there. So I think, for example, right now, So this feels like chapter 2 of my self-worth journey. And I feel like it's coming up again because I haven't actually like healed all that I need to heal within that.
Right. Oh, okay. Good, man.
So I'm not perfect.
Not perfect. No. Good though. That's good that you recognize that. You have the awareness around that, and you understood that, hey, you're putting your self-worth in the wrong spots. It's not about income, it's about impact, right?
Yeah, right. That's what I've been trying to reframe a lot of things. It's like, whether like, let's just use social media as an example right now, because it's very easy to talk about. Whether like the numbers are there or they're not there, the impact should always be there. As a public figure and a public speaker, like kind of how you said with your clients, like I have an obligation to show up and no matter what, because my commitment is to provide value. And that's what I feel I'm here to serve. That's like, I fully believe I was put here to serve. And so to let numbers, positive or negative, determine how I provide that impact and value, that's completely wrong. You know, I should just come from a place of love, come from a place of this heart-led life, and provide the value because it's pure, and it's pure love to give to those people, and not because it's like, I'm going to stop because like views are down, or I'm going to keep going because views are up. I should just keep going because I have the opportunity to impact.
Absolutely. That well said, man. And it goes back to I guess not goes back to, but also something that's very relevant on that topic of, you know, continuing to show up, continuing to be your true authentic self, continuing to do what you know you got to do regardless of the outcome. It's like the micro goals. Like as a realtor, so I still do real estate just because it's, you know, thriving, and South Florida is a great market to do it in. Doesn't take much to make $100,000. I was like, I just got to make my 20 touches every single day. Some months I make $10,000, $15,000. Some months I make like $4,000. But as long as I continue to make my 10 to 20 touches a day, you know, talk to 10 people a day about real estate, like the money will come. So, you know, it's doing what you can right here, right now with what you got from where you're at, and not focusing on the macro. You know, what can you do from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. to continue to push the envelope, to continue to create traction in your business, whether it's marketing, lead gen, working on your storyboard, whatever, so on and so forth. But, you know, this is a conversation that we could have for, you know, 6 hours, obviously. And I know that you're super busy, and I really do appreciate your time coming on the podcast. Hey, this was something that I really enjoyed, and I can see us definitely doing another episode. I'm in the future, 100%, just to catch up on everything you're doing. And, you know, for some reason, I usually play this game with like doctors and holistic wellness people and stuff, but I'm going to play with you. Okay. So I'm going to just say a word. It's a phrase. It's like a health and wellness like type phrase. Some of them are controversial, but I just want to get like a quick answer, like good, bad, overhyped, doesn't work. And just quick, like 3-word, like feedback. Okay.
Go on.
All right. First one, cold plunge.
Down.
Hell yeah. Yoga.
Restorative.
Intermittent fasting.
Depends on the individual.
HGH.
Barry Bonds.
Ice cream.
I'm down for ice cream. I'm all for it.
Okay. EMF radiation.
We got to protect ourselves.
Blue light exposure.
I could be better at reducing it.
Okay. Yogurt.
Don't eat it.
Soda.
Don't drink it.
Coffee.
I don't, and these are all I's. I don't.
Honestly, whatever, however you want to answer it. It's just
I'm just saying, I don't eat it. I don't eat it. I don't drink coffee.
You don't drink coffee at all?
No, I don't drink caffeine.
Lucky guy. Oh, wow. No caffeine at all?
No, I've been on I was a very caffeinated individual for a long time, and then I just realized it was causing all my anxiety.
Okay. Psilocybin.
I'm down for it.
Okay. Alcohol.
Don't really drink too much anymore.
Same. Masturbation.
I have a fiance, so we'll put it that way.
Okay. And then last one, bee sting therapy.
Never heard of it.
Okay.
I've also,
cool.
I've also never been stung by a bee, so that'd be interesting to see if I'm aware.
Here's this Netflix documentary. We're gonna wrap up here in a minute. There's this Netflix documentary called Unwell on Netflix, and each episode is a different controversial health and wellness practice. One of them is on ayahuasca. One of them is on fasting, and one of them's bee sting therapy. And apparently people, they take bees and they sting themselves because it has minerals and nutrients in it. Kind of weird. But to all those people out there that have been listening, thank you so much for your attention. If you're listening on Audible, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, you can go to Amazon.com and get Jordan Tarver's book, You Deserve This Shit. I'm also going to drop the link to the book, his website, how you could book him, connect with him below. If you're just listening and want to head there right now, it's jordantarver.com, JORDANTARVER.com. Jordan, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to hop on the Live Better Now podcast today. And I look forward to connecting with you again soon.
Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate you.